just drive. I wanna be the only one to make it to the line. I'll take it to the edge for a ride and live 1,000 lives. But maybe I could be the one riding to the setting sun
What does the Spanish Grand Prix have in store for us today, I wonder? I hope we see some tight wheel-to-wheel action down the main straight, circa Mansell and Senna way back in '91. Or maybe we'll have a more strategic race here on a track where overtaking can be difficult. It's a sellout crowd of 140,000 here today as we await lights out for the 730-metre sprint down to turn 1 of this 2.9-mile racetrack. Overtaking is challenging through these 16 corners, but there's still a lot of high-speed excitement to be found, including the flat-out turn 3 and the terrifying blind right of turn 9. Anthony Davidson is here with me today. Together we'll be taking you through all the action of this Spanish Grand Prix. It can be hard for the cars to follow each other closely here due to the dirty air coming off the car in front, so perhaps we're looking at a more strategic Grand Prix out. What do you think on that?
I'm not too sure about that, Crofty. I mean, yes, as you say, it's hard to follow around here, but if you're brave on the brakes, you can get the job done down into turn 1, which is a medium-speed corner, so you have to be committed. And looking down at this grid today, I think we're going to see 1 or 2 drivers making a move from a long way back, maybe try to force their opponent into a mistake. I don't think this is a race that's going to be purely decided in the pit stops.
Right, let's be patient going into turn 1. We want to be in a good position for the rest of the race. Good luck.
We're almost ready to go then, and this is what the starting grid looks like for today's race. Lewis Hamilton lines up on pole position, with Sebastian Vettel starting alongside. Looking down the rest of the grid, we have Rosberg, Ricciardo, Kimi Raikkonen, and Verstappen, a McLaren, Alonso, Bottas, and Felipe Massa, Sainz, Kvyat, Roman Grosjean, and Perez, Gutierrez, Hulkenberg, Kevin Magnussen, and Jolyon Palmer, Ericsson, and Harry Anto, Felipe Nasser, and Pascal Wehrlein completes the grid. And now it's time to head down to the track.
Hello and welcome to the Spanish Grand Prix. We're here, 7th place on the grid, about to get underway. We're just having a look around. The F1 2016 logo comes out. We rev up the car, it's about to go out. 5 red lights are about to start. It's lights out and away we go for the Spanish Grand Prix, and we get off to a blistering start. Absolutely mugged Verstappen and Ricciardo off the line. We're charging up behind that. Look at Vettel and Rosberg trying to get the pole sitter out of position. We go up the inside of Raikkonen and take P4. And then as we go through, we're going to take have a look up the inside of Vettel, and we take Vettel for 3rd. Unbelievable start from the get-go in the McLaren Honda. We're now charging up to the 2 Mercedes in this, and let's face it, in this race, in the actual one, these two had taken each other out by this point, and they're in the same position that they were when it happened, so it's a bit controversial, but at least it didn't happen here. And as you can see, we get an absolutely beautiful run on Hamilton coming out of the first hairpin. We're up the inside, we're going to try and ease our way around. Hamilton keeps his position around the outside and keeps P2, and we filter back into P3, and you can see already we've got a bit of an air gap back to Sebastian Vettel. As you can hear, my voice is straining a little bit because I am still unwell, but either way, we're going to have another look up the inside of Hamilton. We commit. Hamilton tries to hold it around the outside. We're going to take the position from him, and we're now in P2. Unbelievable results. The car performance has improved greatly since we upgraded the engine, so we're now mixing it with the big boys. Of course, this doesn't really mean that we're invincible or fast in a straight line. You can see that we do take a bit of a cheeky corner cut into the second to last corner, and now we go down the main straight and complete the first lap. It's Rosberg from us, then it's Hamilton, then Vettel, Raikkonen, and then probably the 2 Red Bulls. It's hard to say. They need to really filter out more things. So we cut now to lap 2, the beginning of lap 3, and you can see Hamilton using that straight line speed and beautiful power of the Mercedes to get past. But we're going to take a cheeky dive up the inside, go alongside Hamilton, don't quite get the position back, but we stay to him, and we get a good run out of here. Just use the power and the traction to get a good run. But at this point, we're just keeping consistent, and it's just great they'll be able to fight it out with Mercedes, or at least one of them at this point, because Rosberg, as you can say, has just said, see you later, boys, I'm out of here. So we're keeping to Hamilton again, this time just giving him a little nudge, which kind of compromised their run. But we're going to have another look up the inside, coming through here. Hamilton still stays the outside, almost clipping the back of his car. Hamilton goes a bit wide as a result, which compromises his run. We're going to be able to use DRS on him this time. So we activate the DRS, and as you can see, look at that. We just stay to Hamilton, go up the inside, hard on the brakes, second gear, up the inside. Hamilton goes wide as a result, and Vettel fancies his chances up the inside. But of course, Hamilton's now perfectly positioned for the next turn, and I think at this point, Hamilton does clear the position. So, great work from us at the McLaren Honda. Yeah, we just straight on the curve, sends the car flying. Hamilton is now right up our arse. Excuse me. So, coming around the last turn, we won't have DRS. Hamilton will have DRS, and it doesn't help that we get on the curb, lose the rear, and we go to rich mix, try to counter Hamilton's charge, but as you can see, it's just completely pointless. Raikkonen now fancies his chance up the inside. We go around the outside of Hamilton this time, and with the power, Hamilton backs off for some reason, and as a result, we steal P2 back. So the car is really turned on going through this race, and it was really exciting having to be able to fight it out with Hamilton. But as you can see, Rosberg just keeps pulling away, and as you can see, every lap that I get past Hamilton, he just zooms past me on the straight. We fancy our chances again. This time we can't get it done. We just filter back into third, and you can see that we're in his dirty air. You can just see all the junk flying onto the screen. We always get a good run through here, so we always fancy our chance, but you know it's no good through here. But this time we dive it up the inside. We give Hamilton a bit of a clip, which actually ultimately throws him back down the order. I felt a little guilty by it, but I wasn't going to give the position back because that would have been a lot more positions lost. But as you can see, there's no sense trying to chase down Raikkonen. Rosberg, he's well out of there. So we now cut to lap 7, where we end up going to pit. Now, ultimately, we wanted to try and stretch our pit window because the rain was expected to come down. So we tried to stretch our tyres as long as possible. I think we went 2 laps over our expected pit window, and it didn't ultimately pan out. The tyre wear was getting a bit too much. So we now jump to the medium tyre. Perez is behind us. He'll jump to the front because he started on the mediums. Here comes Rosberg. Gutierrez is behind us. But you can see Magnussen's through. So Rosberg's already cleared us, and he continues in the lead. So we stay ahead of Magnussen, who's also on the medium tyres, but he started on the medium, so it didn't really affect our race performance in any shape or form. So it's pretty much really a wait-and-see game with the rain. But you can see we just go a bit wide. You can tell that the rain is starting to come down because the track was starting to greasy up a bit here. You can't see it so much on the screen, but I could just feel it. There was just no grip whatsoever. But as you can see, even Rosberg was struggling in the conditions. So we were just limping around, waiting for the rain to come in and wait for Jeff to give us the alternate strategy that would see us onto the intermediate tyres. But I think initially I actually ended up doing a sneaky undercut, so I didn't actually wait for Jeff to make a call. Once I saw the rain, I thought this would be a good time to come in. So either way, we're still behind Nico Hulkenberg, who's on a completely different strategy, and ultimately I thought he would actually have the best strategy because he was on the medium tyres at this point, he only had to make one stop. So unfortunately his track position doesn't really relate to his strategy, so I don't think he ended up finishing really well. But ultimately, if he'd started further up on the medium tyres, let's say per se, just outside the top 10, he could have actually been really high up at the end of the race. So we used the DRS to slip past Hulkenberg. Well, kinda, as you can see, the Mercedes power is still quite good, so Hulkenberg doesn't quite give up the position that easily. So we jump up to third, Perez is second. Rosberg has lost a bit of time in the overtake of Sergio, so that's where things got interesting. But as you can see now, the rain is starting to fall on the screen. We cut down to lap 9 where we see Rosberg coming in. He gets held up a little bit by us coming in, so that's a bonus for us. We're in P1 at the moment, but we're going to drop to P2 in just a second. as we jump to the intermediate tyre. So there's Rosberg. We get held up as a result a little bit too. It's a 2.9 second stop, so it's not very good. And I can tell you, further down the road, spoiler alert, there were some stops that were even under 2 seconds, so you can tell the team really steps the game up later on. But as you can see, the gap between me and Rosberg is absolutely nothing compared to when the first stop came. We were absolutely miles behind it. I think the gap initially was about nearly 10 seconds, so we've roped them in quite a lot in this section. And as you know, the wet pace in our car is absolutely amazing, but as you can see there, I just go a little wide coming into that turn, and that compromises a bit of our time that we've made up. But as you can see, we're still right on the back of Rosberg. He's struggling a lot on these tyres. I think they initially, Mercedes used a setup that was better suited for the dry condition, probably unaware that it was going to rain during the race. So it pretty much really just came down to setups, which we didn't actually use for this, so it's pretty good either way. We're on the back of Rosberg. I think DRS was disabled by this point, so yeah, we're just checking the fuel mark to see if we could use rich fuel, which we end up doing pretty much at this point. Cut the corner a little bit, coming around the last sweeper before the S-bends, and it's pretty much touch and go at this point, challenging Rosberg for the win. And could we do it? Could we do 2 wins in a row in our debut for F1 and for McLaren Honda? McLaren Honda hadn't won a race since, McLaren hadn't won a race since Lewis Hamilton 2012. We broke that chain. We broke that that chain of bad results in Australia. We did it again in Russia. Can we do our first back-to-back win in Formula 1? As you can see there, I got a bit greedy. Hit Rosberg up the arse, pushed him along the track, and ultimately stole the position from him. But because the stewards didn't see it as a incident, we just took the position and away we go. So by lap 11, we're in the lead of the Grand Prix. Perez has used the strategy to good form. He's currently in third, but I think in the end Hamilton does catch him. But as you can see, we do go off track a bit. Rosberg does reclaim the position, but you can just see that he's struggling on those intermediate tyres to get grip. So we get the ultimate run out of that corner. We're going to do what we do to Hamilton a lot, but we get the position and we skip down to the final lap, because once the overtake was made, there was pretty much nothing more exciting from the race. Hamilton did end up passing Sergio for P3, but for us it's going to be a glorious day. We did qualify as well as we wanted to. We thought we had the ultimate tyre pace to qualify quite high. We didn't do it. We got off to an ultimate start. We challenged Hamilton, got on the intermediates, we challenged Rosberg, and we're going to go back to back. 2 wins in a row. Can you believe it? I sure couldn't. What a race.
So, another fantastic victory for McLaren today. Tell me, Ant, what was the key to this success?
Well, keeping their tyre temperatures up in the tricky wet conditions was really important. There's not much grip out there at the best of times, and it's 10 times worse if you're out there on cold tyres. So the way they kept the rubber in its proper operating window was a huge advantage today.
Our drivers are making their way out for the podium celebrations, and it's going to be McLaren picking up the winner's trophy. Congratulations to the entire team for that fantastic performance.
So there you have it, back-to-back wins from 7th on the grid, ultimate pace in the wet. We've beaten Nico Rosberg and Lewis Hamilton. Thanks for watching, guys. Like and subscribe, and keep in touch as we head to the Canadian Grand Prix. And you're probably asking, what about Monaco? Well, wait till you see the Canadian Grand Prix and I'll let you know then. Take care till then.
Plenty more twists and turns to come this season. I hope you can join us at the next race to see just who will come out on top.